So, how does the course work? The course consists of 39 modules. Think of them as the 39 class sessions you're not attending. Each module has a reading here on Wolfware and a homework assignment on WebAssign. The readings have several components. There is written material and, in many cases, an associated video. There are learning objectives listed on many of the pages and links to the online textbook. Some pages have practice problems for you to work on your own, and there's a study guide for each module. Let's look at one of the modules. Here is our course page on Wolfware. If we scroll down, we can find the module readings. We open up the first one to see what's in it. The readings have several pages, and you can navigate through them either by the arrow buttons in the top right or the table of contents on the side. The videos are in YouTube format, so they should play on just about any device. They consist of me talking and some voiced over PowerPoint. And there's also an occasional demonstration. Some of the videos and written materials were made at different times, so they're not always identical. You may prefer to watch, you may prefer to read. You probably should do both and see what works best for you. On many pages, there are learning objectives. Think of these as things you should be able to do. There are also links to the online textbook on many pages. Now, for these links to work, you have to be logged into our section of WebAssign. Some pages have practice problems. Solutions are given on the next page. We strongly urge you to work on these as you're going through the modules, since they relate directly to what you just read. Try to avoid the temptation to skip right to the answers. You'll learn better by trying them yourself. At the end of each module, there is a module review or study guide. This contains the sections of the online textbook that refer to this module, some terms you should know, and again, the objectives, the things you should be able to do. There are also some questions for discussion. If you were trying to teach this course to someone else and they asked you these questions, how would you respond? There are also additional problems, some from the textbook and some from elsewhere. And there are answers to the additional problems on the next page. While there are 39 modules, there are 40 homework assignments, one for each module, plus one assignment on the syllabus. The assignments are worth 10 points each. We'll count your best 35 assignment scores towards your grade. This means that we'll drop your 5 lowest assignment scores. Most, but not all, questions will allow 3 submissions. The assignments are completed online through WebAssign. The online textbook can be found here as well. Let's take a look at WebAssign. Here is the home page for WebAssign. On the left are the assignments listed. There should now be all the assignments for the course present there. But before we look at an assignment, let's look on the right-hand side. Down at the bottom right is a link to the online textbook. When I click on that, up comes the table of contents of the online book. Click on any chapter, and it opens up. Also, at this site are resources, the data tables, and information that we need for the course. There are appendices, and we'll refer to these at some points during the course. Also, here are end-of-chapter exercises. For example, click on this, and we find a PDF file that gives the end-of-chapter exercises for that chapter. We also have the solutions to the odd-numbered exercises for those chapters. And we'll suggest problems to work on from these odd-numbered problems. in our module reviews and study guides. Also, down at the bottom, there's something called full print version. Now, you may have noticed when we looked at an individual chapter, it said print up here. It's not really a print button. What that will do will download a PDF version of this chapter. Or if you prefer, download a PDF version of the entire book. You purchased it, so you should download it to one of your devices. Now let's go back to our WebAssign page and go back up and take a look at an assignment. Over here, syllabus assignment, that's our first assignment. There is the due date, so pay attention to the due dates, not only the date, but also the time, 10 p.m. And let's look at this assignment. We have an overall score. It's worth 10 points. We haven't done any of the questions yet, but let's see how we submit some of the questions. Come down to question 1. You should read the instructions that we just went by. Notice question 1, it says dash of 0.8 points. This question is worth 0.8 points out of the 10 total, and we haven't used any of our 3 submissions yet. So it's a numerical question. It's looking for the section number of our section. So what I do is click on the box, and this is section 601. But what if I mistype it? Well, obviously I can change it, but what if I mistyped it and submitted the answer? We get a red X. And notice we don't have any points yet, did not get it correct, and we've used one of our 3 submissions. The nice thing, though, is I can go back and correct this. This is section 601, isn't it? I submit the answer again, and it now returns the answer with the green check mark. I've got it correct, and I've got the points. But please pay attention to instructions in the question. Question number 2 is only one submission because it's a true-false question. Now, be careful. You have to enter either the word true or the word false in the answer box. Can't put a T or an F. The computer can't figure that out. It's looking for a word true or false. Only one submission there. Now, there are a lot of instances in chemistry where you have only 2 choices. Is a solution acidic or basic? Is something being oxidized or reduced? Is a process exothermic or endothermic? So those questions will either have one submission or, like in question 3, be stacked together. Now, in this question, X's and check marks are not going to be shown. And by the way, when you have a multi-part question, be sure to answer all the parts before you submit. So, what if I thought the first response was true and the second one was false? And if I submit that answer, let's see what I get. No X's or check marks. And I didn't, well, look at the points. I got 0.4 out of 0.8. That means I got one of the 2 correct, but the other is wrong. But it's not going to tell me. I have to go and do the entire problem again if I want to use up my second or third submission. There are some other types of question formats. Here's multiple choice. I just click on one of the radio buttons. Another numerical question. Let's see. Now we'll be occasionally submitting responses to numerical questions in scientific notation. WebAssign does that in a specific way, so question 8 goes through that. This question 9 is what's called a multiple select question. There's more than one correct answer. You have to check all the responses that are correct. It asks, according to the syllabus, which weeks our exams held. Well, what if I thought it was this one and this one, but I didn't think it was any other? Well, let's see. Let's try to submit that. Oh, no, I got that wrong. Now, it doesn't tell me whether these checks are correct or incorrect. It just tells me I did not get the points for that question. Occasionally, there's a question that's a fill in the blank where you type in some text. And again, please take a look at these question instructions. In this case, the answer is case sensitive. So that gives you an idea of the different types of questions that we have in WebAssign. And again, we urge you to pay attention to due dates. If you get stuck and don't get through an assignment, you can request an extension. We realize in online courses this does happen from time to time. But please try to pace yourself and get those assignments in on time. Also, if you have an issue with one of the questions, notice on each question there's an Ask Your Teacher link. What you can do is click on that and ask a question and send it to the instructor. You'll get a response at some point in the future, hopefully not the distant future, but you'll get a response. Again, you can read it through WebAssign. So these are the two main places you will look for course materials: the readings here on Wolfware and the assignments on WebAssign.